It's been 2 weeks, I believe. Tomorrow's gonna be exactly 2 weeks since I got this Honda. As you can see, for those of you who are up to date with the subjects, I did change the handlebar. I mentioned that, and I added those handle guards. I think this is a must. First of all, because it looks awesome. A service provides that in multiple colors. I was thinking about getting white ones because I think this bike is too red already. But the white ones, I think they came with red, this skeleton, whatever it's called, the support, it was red. So I thought I'm gonna get the red ones, and I will just maybe I will someday will change it to the white plastics, because you can do that, and those plastics are not that expensive. So briefly about the installation, whatever I could do wrong with the installation of those, I probably did. Honestly, it looks like a straightforward installation, but for me it wasn't. Maybe it was not my day. Yeah, those are here. I'm very happy with them. They give me some confidence that there is something more around here, and I don't know, just it makes me feel better. Plus, as I said, they just look great on the bike. I'm not a fan of this item here. Okay. Okay, that item there, I'm gonna put it in here. I'm not a fan because it's big, bulky, and I just don't like how it looks. But it only took me one solid hit to the chin in here to realize that this is important. So that this is where I realized it's not that hard to really hit your face against the handlebar. So those are the current modifications. I ordered some new tires. Those would be Metzeler 6 days extreme, maybe a bit hardcore choice for a noob like myself, but I guess those were recommended as the most suitable for the kind of ride I planned on doing, not necessarily for the bike. I will still give a chance to those tires because they're okay. Okay, so some guy came just when I thought I would be alone in here. Anyway, regarding tires, those are not the worst tires in the world. They are definitely worth something, not much, but something. They are okay-ish for majority of things, but not for things that I would like to do, which is more sand rides, off-road, stuff like that. So yeah, I will probably replace them within the next weeks or days, and yeah, that's it. Very minor modification. I just shortened this because I feel that I think this is way too big, and I would wish to have this displayed somewhere in here, but it takes a tail tidy, which I don't have. It's not that easy to access everything, and when there is something that I can get, it's at the moment it's very expensive. So all those accessories, those Zetas, if they are dedicated to this bike, they cost a lot. They are just not worth it. So some parts you can get for CRF 250L, and as they say, with minor modifications they will most likely fit the bike. I also ordered this Yamato bash plate. I mean, I ordered that from Thailand, so I think at the moment this is the only place where you can get a branded one, and the price wasn't that bad. The devil is in the taxes, because if you would add taxes, if you add shipping, it just gets expensive. So, but there was just no other option. Okay, generally what to expect about the bike. I did like 150 kilometers so far, mostly off-road, but I did some city rides. Well, it's a very different bike than the TRK that I have. It's at the beginning I thought maybe I should compare those. In some areas, yes, you can compare it, but in the majority of those you just cannot. It's a completely different bike. So first of all, the size of the bike. Despite the bike being pretty high, I think it's comparable to the TRK that I have. The seat height. When you sit down, it drops a lot. I still have stock suspension in the back, although I adjusted it barely, but I did. There is some change to the way it works now, but it's not that significant. I mean, I have zero problem with the way it works. It's just not the best. That's the truth. So it bounces a lot, but for an average user, I guess that's it. In general, the conclusion about the bike is they use average parts. I mean, I think everywhere except the engine, they just used average parts to make this bike cheap. And if you want to have a better bike, you have to just build it on your own, which it has its perks. I mean, there's fun in buying, ordering, installing things, but not necessarily when you think about the additional cost of it. In general, yeah, I still feel that this is a budget bike. This is the worst part, I think, so far that I've noticed. Those scratches are only from my shoes. Nothing else happened here. So this shows how thin the paint is in this area. And why is it so thin? Because it's cheaper, and if it's thin, it could be fixed. So someone came up with an idea of adding additional piece of plastic here to prevent further scratches. Well, yeah, if you're selling stuff, that's smart, but if you're using the bike, yeah, that's just, you know, that's not fair. I don't know, and the prices of those plastics are extremely high. I mean, not worth it. From my I think it would be better just to 3D print the part for the fraction of the price, and it would be as useful as the part that they sell for I think around 30 euros on that Bikers Bits page. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not complaining about it. I don't care. I think this is the bike that looks good with this type of scratches. It's just lame that Honda did that. I already mentioned these. I will replace these. I'm thinking about replacing those. They are not the worst, they just look bad, and that's it, but they are as functional as you could want them to be. In terms of riding itself, yeah, it's super fun to ride it. I kind of got used to the fact that it's a lighter bike. It handles in a different way. You sit much closer to the handlebar, which is not something that I love that much. I would prefer to have like a straight up position. Not on this bike, something that you have to accept. And I also said it in my first video, it's very nimble and it has its perks. I really appreciate how tight, I really appreciate those tight turns that you can do on it. This is something that, yeah, every time I do that and I don't have to back up like on my TRK, this is where I think, okay, that's good, that's nice, that's a very nice thing to have. Yeah. I did some off-road, as I said. I tried some heavier off-road. I tried some, let's call it jumping. Yeah, I thought I was jumping, but I was like 5 centimeters above the ground. So I just realized that I was recording this in a vertical position. Anyway, I was trying to say that I did some jumps. It felt like I'm flying, but when I look at the footage, I was like 5 centimeters above the ground. But then maybe I was 5 centimeters above the ground, but all the suspension went down, so it was like very low, so yeah, I probably was a bit higher. Anyway, when I landed, this all just ended up way up there, so it's very soft. I'm 90 kilos with all the gear, maybe a bit more, so this suspension, yeah, for a regular riding I cannot complain. I'm okay with this, with the suspension being soft and plushy. That's fine. But if you wanna be a bit serious about it, you have to consider replacing it. And yeah, I mean, I wanna jump on this bike. I don't know, some might say this is not the bike for jumping. Well, let me test it. If you haven't noticed, I have this tendency of testing theories and opinions in my videos. That's why I tend to push motorcycles to their limits, to see for myself if something is okay to do and if something is not. I do think about replacing the suspension, and I wanna go like pro with it. Definitely not within the next weeks. Maybe at the end of the season I will figure out. There are some options to choose from, although majority of manufacturers are still, I think, still working on the dedicated suspension for the CRF 300L. So I suspect that at the beginning of the next season there will be a whole range of suspension sets that you can choose from, and that would be just perfect. As I stated in my first video, this is my first dirt bike, and I will stick to the naming it a dirt bike. It gets scratched so easily. This is just from my legs. Anyway, I don't care about the scratches. Yes, I do. Yeah, this is my first bike. I enjoy it a lot. I cannot imagine traveling on this bike. I know that some people travel on this bike, but I did like really 10-15 kilometers with higher speeds with this enduro helmet, and I got a headache. My ears were like buzzing. So if you want to do that, you definitely have to have earplugs, otherwise it's very painful. There's zero wind protection in here. Don't get fooled by the surface, it protects you from nothing. The wind will find a way to hit your eardrums and it will be painful. But if you're not exceeding, I don't know, 70 kilometers per hour, it's very okay, it's enjoyable to ride it. So, but like what I was trying to tell you, I have a very good reason to keep my TRK with me, because this bike, I don't know, maybe I'm just overreacting. Maybe it will be like it was with the TRK at the beginning, where I couldn't travel without earplugs because just my ears were not used to the noise that I had in my helmet, even though it was integral closed helmet. Maybe this will change, but at the moment I appreciate how smooth and protected the ride on a TRK is. Yeah, it's a completely different story. There's no point to compare these two. So the TRK will stay with me for a moment or two until I will have too much money. Please let me know if you have any questions. There's something I've noticed recently on my channel, that my views are dropping. I know that my movies are not the top of the line, not even any line, I guess. I mean, I'm more at the end, but I don't know why. I don't know. I get no views. Just a bit frustrating, because it's always nice to see those views increasing. And recently, I don't know. I don't know. Just I don't see that happening. I mean, there is another thing I've noticed, that maybe it's a dead period for motorcycle videos, because I did compare to other channels and I noticed that they kind of struggling, at least from the perspective of an outsider. So yeah, that would be it. I will do some rides now. Hopefully I will have some nice shots with the sun. Cheers.